Hello, everyone. I am Montreal Kane, founder and CEO of Mira, Wisconsin, where we focus on preventative healthcare tools as well as prevention. Our goal tonight is to join you with some amazing champions for mental health as a special part of Boys and Men of Color Month. Today, we have with us Solomon Thomas, the NFL Las Vegas Raider defensive tackle and mental health champion, along with three actors from the production Pieces in My Own Voice. We have with us Demar, Trony, and Chastity. I would like to welcome you all. I'm going to start off by asking you all to just take 1 minute and provide a brief introduction of yourself and why you're here today, starting with Solomon, Trony, Demar, and of course, Chastity. You guys feel free to take it away.
What's up, everyone? I'm Solomon Thomas. I play defensive tackle for the Las Vegas Raiders. And first of all, I just want to commend y'all for your amazing work on the play. You know, it was very moving, very emotional, and you just did a great job, describing some mental health illnesses, and it's very important. But yeah, so I'm in the mental health world myself. I lost my big sister Ella to suicide 2018, and that flipped my family and I's world upside down. Back then, and introduced us and immersed us to the mental health world. And we saw, how big of a problem it was, in this world, and how much work we have to do, the stigma we have to fight, and, just motivated us to do work in this world. And I went on my own mental health journey myself, after my sister died by suicide, went through my own depression, grief, anxiety, and, I deal with mental health, every day of my life. And, I finally ended up getting help, after I went through a dark phase, after losing my sister, and, was able to make it through, and, very fortunate. And, mental health is a huge part of my life, and I'm just happy to be with you all tonight, and really appreciate your time and everything. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Trony Small, and I'm so happy to be here with all of you. Thank you for being a part of this discussion. And the reason why I'm here is because, like Solomon, I too, and my family as well, have been impacted by mental illness and mental health. My youngest brother died by suicide at the age of 23, and before then, I was on the journey of finding, help for him. But yeah, so I'm here because I have a story as well. We all have a story, and if it wasn't for my brother's journey, I wouldn't know what I know today about the importance of having this conversation that we're having today. And I'm just thankful to be with you all. So
thank you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Evening, everybody. My name is Demar Walker. I actually play the role of post-traumatic stress disorder in the production Pieces in My Own Voice. It's a pleasure to be with you all this evening. I will echo what I just heard from everyone else. I've dealt with a lot of mental health issues throughout my life, from anxiety, depression, suicide ideation. So it's very much a real thing. And I'm really in support of what Mama Brenda Wesley has done with this production. It's absolutely phenomenal, and just thinking about the importance of advocacy as well as addressing the stigma that comes with mental health, especially for African American people. And yeah, I just am super honored and just humbled to be a part of something so amazing. And I'm here to just spread the word, about this very important topic with you all this evening. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, good evening to everyone here. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to all of our viewers on Facebook Live. My name is Chastity Washington. I am a part of this fantastic play, and also and am an advocate because I've dealt with different mental health issues, not only within my own family, within close family members, but also same sentiment as Demar. I've struggled with depression and anxiety myself at different points in my life also. So this is just about us continuing to raise awareness, continuing to open the floor for conversation, to open the floor for discussion, for opening the floor for understanding. And so people can just feel a sense of that they are not by themselves, that they're not on a journey by themselves. specifically those of the African American community. It is something that is not discussed openly. It's grown more so in the time that we've been doing this play over the last 12 years. But it still needs to continue to grow and evolve so that it can be where people can feel comfortable discussing it and also receiving the help that they need. So that is why I'm here. So thank y'all for having me.
Thank you so much. We have such a common thread. And when we think about why we've all gotten into mental health, with me having a loved one who has some serious mental illnesses and deciding to use innovation and technology to address it, Troni just had an amazing bike ride that took place to bring forth awareness. And when I think about how you all are using your platform, Solomon could be very well much so on that football field and not taking the time out this evening to talk to us, and knowing how DeMar and Chastity have dedicated themselves for almost 12 plus years. I must commend you guys for taking this time out, because when we see people that look like us that can openly have these conversations, it opens up so many doors. And the amazing thing about tonight is that we're going to show you some video vignettes where these amazing actors have lended their talents and gifts to show us the perspective of what it looks like to live with mental illness in your head out loud. More importantly, we're going to have a discussion where you can engage. We're going to talk to Solomon about his experience and his recovery journey with the loss of his sister, as well as open up the floor during a panel discussion through Facebook Live, where when you type in the chat your questions, we'll be available to answer them. So at this moment, let's get started with these video vignettes. Thank you guys, and feel free to share this broadcast.
It started when I was 16 years old. I'm older now and I can't quiet the voices in my head. Should I tell my parents? Does everyone hear voices, or is it just me? I won't say anything. Instead, I will sleep with the covers over my head, with the lights on and the door open at night. I can't understand why I feel so sad most of the time. I'm trying to figure out why am I always spiraling out of control, and I can't stop the feelings I have inside me. I can't stop the voices. Am I losing it? I must be losing it. I've lost me inside myself. I'm looking at the world through a lens I can't understand. It didn't used to be this way. I used to be a normal kid, but it seemed like the older I got, the more I couldn't see past the haze. And now, I feel like everyone is staring at me, talking about me. Is this a conspiracy? Is the whole world against me? This secret I keep to myself. Here I am, living with a condition that nobody seems to understand. And it seems like the only thing I can do is go down the hall and take my parents' alcohol. I walk to the park and sit alone and smoke some weed. And then I drink. I drink until I can finally fall asleep, until I can quiet the voices. But when I wake up, they come back. And I can't make them stop. I'm older now. And I still drink. And I'm still alone. Because I can't be who you want me to be. You see, I live with a condition called schizophrenia. Schizophrenia. But I want to get better. I can get better. But I would need your help and not your judgment. Here I am, just trying to tell you how I feel in my own voice.
These are my cycles. A normal period in my life when everything seems to be going well. I can't remember what is normal. How long will it last? If I realize it, I'll savor every balanced emotion. The depression starts again. I'm sinking into darkness. The visions from the past come back again. The light floats to the surface, and I'm in a cave again, and there's no way out. Then I break free. Relief. Light. It is so bright. I want more. It fills me with warmth. I have energy. I laugh. I have drive. I have purpose. But I wonder how long it'll last this time. My thoughts start to race again. I start to remember the past again. I become startled by every noise, every touch, every smell. Oh my God, here it comes again. I start to remember the hell. Is hell here on earth? I can't sleep. I can't eat. I become agitated. I get confused. I can't concentrate anymore. I have flashbacks from the past again and again. Was I in Iraq or Afghanistan? I fought for my nation and lived with violence, death, and confusion constantly. I could not sleep or rest for fear that I or my friend might be blown up by that little girl that I befriended. Oh my God, I want out. I want out, but I can't get out. Am I a war veteran? Or do I live in the many inner cities across this nation? I live in a war zone filled with drugs and violence. I walk past a makeshift memorial on my block where my best friend died. I see my family living in poverty and despair with no hope for the future and the constant shouting and fighting. I can't take it anymore. Was I that little boy who was violently raped by that stranger who lived in my neighborhood? Or was it by my uncle who I trusted? Or am I the person who heard the knock at the door or received a phone call telling me that my mother, my father, my sister, my brother died violently? The thoughts and visions keep entering my head and I can't make them stop. Here I go again. I cycle back up to the light. How long will the light shine? I live with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Think about it. Here I am, just trying to tell you how I feel in my own voice.
Every day I think about killing myself, about taking my own life. And I shouldn't. I'm fighting a battle internally that nobody understands. Should I go down the hall and drink some alcohol, or should I take some pills? If I die, would anybody cry? Every day I wake up and I wonder why. I feel like I'm in a deep, dark pit, and my arms are not strong enough to dig my way out. Like I'm covered in dirt and it just keeps piling on top of me. What's the point of living anymore? What's the point of being alive? That's what the thoughts say. But my spirit says different. My spirit says I have a whole lot more life to live. The thoughts say I have nothing to live for, when I know that I do. I have children. I have a husband. I got something to live for. I'm afraid to commit suicide, and I'm afraid not to. Hello, suicide. Here you are again at my door. I know you well. Should I let you in? I see you lurking in dark places, waiting to pounce on me. Waiting for my heartaches, my disappointments, my pains to begin again. You say you know my every desire, my every pain, and you're just waiting to give me a way out. A way out of what? A way out of taking medication temporarily or for the rest of my life? A way out of the ups and downs of my bipolar disorder? A way out of humiliation? A way out of disappointing my family over and over and over again? A way out of reliving the war, the poverty, the violence, the rape? I've had moments of laughter and hope. But if I'm not careful, you creep your way back into my thoughts. Oh, suicide, you sly thing. I call you a thing because that's what you are. I see how you've manipulated my thoughts and my spirit and my soul.
but I will renew my mind with things of light. Because darkness can't dwell where there's light. So today, suicide, when you knock at my door, I will not let you in. Because you can't have me. I will turn on the light and I will bask in the sunshine. I'll call my family, I'll call a friend. They will listen, they will not judge. They will give me hope for the future when they see me going down in that deep, dark pit. So goodbye, suicide. You can't have me. You can't have us. You can't bully us anymore. Take off the masks and shed the labels. I'm just trying to tell you how I feel in my own voice.
What an incredible and amazing expression of what it's like to live with mental illnesses. October 10th this year was World Mental Health Day, and we had the privilege and honor of giving Brenda Wesley this award of fortitude and creative arts, because there's so many people who don't have a voice and they don't have the opportunity to express themselves. And as we're looking in the comments, we hear you loud and clear, and our heart goes out to the families who are living with mental illnesses all across the country. If you look in the comment section, there are some resources available through Rogers Behavioral Health and strategic partners, so feel free to gather that information. And now the moment you all have been waiting for. We're getting ready to go into a panel discussion to actually talk with our talent as well as our mental health champion, Mr. Solomon Thomas. Our goal tonight is to hear your voice, to have an open dialogue and discussion, and to gather information on how you feel, how you want to be supported, and questions that you may have. So without further ado, I want to take this liberty as the host to say what I took away. And the first thing was Troni's question: I need your help and not your judgment. What a powerful statement it is when we feel like we can actually communicate, whether that's with loved ones and caretakers or family members, clinicians, but to know that there is a safe place. When Damar asks, what is normal? We look at our veterans and we start to understand when we see them, sometimes with signage by an expressway or the leg that they sacrificed as they rode down the street, but we don't know the stories of PTSD and what took place over in that war zone. Or even Chastity asking, is there a way out? It is so important for us to continue to have dialogues as this. And I want to open the floor by asking you guys this very first question. I can see how someone would not want to talk to their friends and or family members about these issues. Can you give us some reasons why someone should talk about it? Anyone can answer this question.
Well, I'll jump in and say that in my experience, when talking about just my brother Justin's needs, his mental health challenges, I learned really early that not everybody is ready to hear or able to receive the facts around mental health or mental illness. So, but what is amazing, or what I found to be amazing from continuing to reach out and talk about what my family and I was experiencing. I found someone who was able to listen and not judge, and which helped me to find a path um, of understanding what was really going on and putting words to my brother's illness. Um, breaking away from, um, you know, using words that was stigmatizing, adding to the stigma. So um, again, by talking to someone, it helped me to not lean on my own understanding of what the issue was and find ways to really help address the issue. And I appreciate Brenda Wesley being that person to help me put the words together to talk about what was really going on and how to, you know, and really what helped me get on this path that I'm on now and helping raise awareness around mental illness and mental health. So without having someone like that, it can be hard to talk about it, but when you continue to talk about it, you can find a breakthrough.
I'll jump on that too, Trony, where I think it's also just, not being in somebody else's shoes, and then they're experiencing these things that other people, they feel that they wouldn't understand it because they're not in their shoes. Like us doing this play, I knew, I had some knowledge of different diagnoses, but I learned so much about each one and about mental health as a whole, being a part of this with all of us in each different role. You know what I mean? And what the how Brenda has educated me through this, even with the role that suicide for, was a piece out of my own heart. And then the other was what she wrote, but how do you share that with somebody if they not feeling the same pain that you feeling, right? They not, and that them not judging you, right? Like, how do you share that and your own fear? Well, how do I tell somebody about this is not normal, or you're thinking it's normal, right? Or it's not, and it's not, and that's that's terrifying. How do you share that with somebody, even your own, your parents, your siblings, your people that's closest to you, your best friends, and them not look at you a different way? I think that's the hardest part, or them to just to negate what you feel, you know. I remembered something Brenda would say, y'all, at the beginning. What would she say when she would introduce, when we would go into the show some years back, and she would do the introduction of each one, and she would say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all remember that? And she'd be like, get over it, and all that kind of stuff. And, how does somebody understand if they're not in your shoes, if they're not in your head, if they're not in your heart? So I think that Montreal will make it difficult to talk to somebody or people about it.
Absolutely. We're definitely going to circle back with some of these questions. You bring up such a valid point in people having that safe space to be able to express it. I know sometimes in the community that I'm a part of, we're going to tell you to pray. We're going to tell you to get some sleep. These are things that you're going to hear, but I would love to hear, Solomon, what was your initial thoughts when you saw these vignettes? What was your initial perspective identifying with this as a Black man?
The videos were unbelievably powerful. When I watched them, because sometimes in mental health and understanding these illnesses, people they're like, all right, depression, we know that's not a good thing, but what is it? PTSD, that's not a good thing, but what is it? Schizophrenia, that's not a good, but being able to see them acted out, being able to see them talk about how they're feeling and go through what they go through in their everyday life, getting to see that and feel that, like, you understand it then. And, just being able to see the struggles, the issues that they go through day to day, that they fight day to day just to be alive. Like, you understand how strong they really are. You understand the struggle that they really fight every day just to be here. And that's why it's so important to talk. That's why it's so important to reach out and to have empathy and to understand, and like you said, to not judge and just listen and just be there. Because people don't understand these things, and you have to be able to talk about it. And when you asked the question before about, is it good and is it important to talk? It's like, yeah, it is, because a lot of the time, that person that you're talking to might be going through the same thing as you, or might have the same feelings that you're going through right now. So when we talk, we're vulnerable with each other. We have a powerful connection, and we can have that, just a powerful bond in these 5 to 15 to an hour, like just in that time zone. You don't know the people you can reach out and you can connect to. But yeah, just the way that you all were able to show what depression is, show what PTSD is, show what schizophrenia is, was just so powerful. And I believe it's a video that everyone needs to see so they can understand when someone says they have this or they're going through this, that is what they're feeling, and they need someone to talk to. They need a safe place. They need to understand that, hey, it's okay to feel the way they're feeling, that they're not alone. The video was extremely powerful. The skill was extremely powerful, and I'm thankful to be here with you all today.
I want to ask you, how did you find hope and joy? How were you able to come back after dealing with such a tragic loss with your sister? What was your process to recovery like?
Definitely, yeah. The process for my recovery after my sister died by suicide in 2018, it wasn't an easy one. It was a hard one. I felt the stigma against mental health. I felt the stigma of being a Black man and express my mental health. I didn't ask for help for about 6 months just because I didn't want to look weak. I didn't think people would understand my feelings, and they would take it as an excuse for not good performance in the field, or not being fully present as a human being. And it was hard for me. But one day, my general manager came up to me, and he approached me and said, "Hey, Solly, if you need help, we got you." And that felt like it gave me the permission to finally get help. And I got help, started seeing a therapist, started sorting through my emotions and feelings, and learned how to cope with them. Learned how to build a foundation for our mental health to go to when things aren't going always great as they may seem. And so that's where my journey took me. And then from then on, I kept speaking about my story. I kept speaking about my sister's story. And what gave me hope in those moments was the reactions that people gave us of how, like, hey, like, your sister's story saved my life. I'm going through what your sister went through, or someone saying, hey, I feel I lost my sister. I feel the grief and the depression, the sadness and anger and confusion that you go through. That's what gave me hope that, talking was helping people, that talking was breaking the stigma and helping people understand that we have a huge problem with mental health. And there's so much help and understanding that we need in this world. And, that's what gives me hope every day. That's why I'm still doing this. That's why I want to do this forever, is because, I see how many people need it, how many people are calling for help. Just by people seeing y'all's skit and y'all's powerful skit and play, just the amount of people that are able to be comfortable talking about what they're going through now, that is so powerful. And that's what gives me hope and joy. And that's what gives me hope it gives me hope for the future, to break the stigma and to make the world a better place in the mental health realm.
Thank you so much, Solomon. Tony, I'm going to ask you the same question. How did you find hope and joy after going through the tragic loss with your brother?
I found hope and joy from people around me, my support system, and people in my community. Seeing them, again, just be there for me through it all, gave me hope, encouraged me in my hardest times. And I would also say just my hope has come from knowing what my brother, who he really is, what he meant to me and my family. I don't know if I shared this with anyone before, but the day of his passing, I can remember hearing his voice clear as day to me, and letting me know that he was all right, that he's all right now. Now, that right there alone gave me the motivation, the courage to continue on. I think that same day I had a rehearsal, and I showed up for rehearsal. That same day I had a basketball game. I had to coach kids, but I carried on. And I carry on because of this, again, the spirit that my brother left with me, the love that he left with me, knowing who he really is and what he really stood for, continues to again motivate me, encourage me to do what I know he would want me to do. And I know I have the support system around me to again to get through all of this. I have been able to get through all this, and I will say I am on my own healing journey still to this day. I haven't, I will be on a healing journey to the day I'm no longer here behind what my family and I have experienced, the loss of my brother. But my hope and encouragement comes from having good people around me.
That's touching, brother. I know that even using this platform to share your stories and your special connectivity to this is a vulnerable place. It's extremely vulnerable place. Damar, I want to ask you a question. How did you tap into your special place to fulfill this role and assignment? Because I mean, are you in the service? Like, are you actually in the military? Because you were on point, man.
No, I am not a vet. However, a lot of my inspiration for my character actually came from my uncle, my late Uncle Jesse. He actually was a Vietnam vet, and he shared personal stories about that experience. I always envisioned the character even before those moments where I was pulling from my Uncle Jesse experiences. I was sort of envisioning who this character was, and I always envisioned him to be this this young guy who just went into the service after high school, and he found him a partner. They had a child, and he was just trying to figure out who he was, but grappling with everything that he experienced as a vet in Afghanistan. And that always sort of stuck with me. But I also really appreciate Mama Brenda with the duality that she created with this character in regards to what our people experience in their neighborhoods. And that always stuck out to me because it's just something that happens every day. And it's become to a point where I feel like we feel very sort of desensitized to it. But I think what I really appreciate is the fact that we have to show up for ourselves and really give voice to that, whatever that is that we're feeling, and sort of thinking about the question that you posed to everyone in the beginning, so much of how we identify and how we create space for ourselves is in community with other people. We're not supposed to experience these things on our own. And, that sense of community gives you the opportunity to be open and be vulnerable with people. And I love what Solomon said, when you are able to show up authentically as yourself and be open about it, that gives someone else the permission to do so as well. So, these characters are really, really important. And I feel like what resonates so great about all of these depictions is that everyone, even if they may not suffer with sort of any sort of mental health issues or have been diagnosed with an illness, they can relate to something that they've experienced in terms of how they have personally been impacted by their own bouts with mental health, and yeah, those things are really, really important. We got to keep that first and foremost. That's how you build community.
want to ask a question to the group. Where do we go if there's something indifferent that we can identify, and one of our loved ones is living with some form of a mental illness? Where do we go? I know for so long, if an emergency happens, we would call 911. Where do we go to get the help? Where are the community centers? Where are the groups? Is there places that you guys know of, or support groups that people can do? What should, if I'm finding out for the first time my loved one is living with this, do I ask Google? What are some of those resources that you guys can think of?
I'll just jump in and say that the first thing is if someone comes to you and they tell you that they are having these feelings, I think the first important thing is to really listen, and like it says in the play, like the play says, like, not coming from a place of judgment. And I know that's really difficult, but just being able to create that safe space for people is really, really important. So even if you don't know what to say, just having the opportunity to sit with someone because there was something about you that they felt they could confide in you about it. So just being able to say, I may not understand it, but I'm willing and open enough to be here with you to tell me what it is that you feel you're going through. So I think that's first and foremost. As far as resources, there's some great things that's popping up, I think, in the city. I think Milwaukee is doing some really great things. I think about a buddy of me and Trony. His name is Corey Fells, and he's done this really great platform called Black Space. And he essentially started it with just group therapy sessions. And I think that is so revolutionary for Black people, to be able to sit around and talk about your emotional health, your emotional and mental health, because that's so unheard of. It's just like you just pack it away, you just go on with your day, and that's something that I think Black people, we aren't afforded the time to do, so shout out to Corey for creating a space like that. That's really, really amazing. But yeah, that's what I got.
I'll take a moment. Corey is amazing. The organization Black Space is absolutely amazing, and my goal is not to do any shameless plugs here, but when I first found out about them, I started reaching out right away. To have a safe place where you could have community and have conversation. Shout out to him, Darius, Dr. Knox, because there's a plant that they give you when you join the cohort, and if the plant starts to wither, it's a reflection of what's going on the inside. And they use this as a visual to say, if you're not taking care of the plant, it may be time for some self-care. And so I'm looking in Facebook and I'm seeing some of the comments, and I noticed that someone mentioned the familywithinus.org, your local church, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. There's so many different resources out here. And so I want to tell you guys to just stay connected. I've been knowing Trony since we were young fellas, and we most recently connected through the Miracle Network with Pastor Walter Lanier. There's groups like Wisdom and Wise out here where you all can connect and be able to have that. And so I want to take a moment and talk to the Facebook audience and say, if you have a question, feel free to write it in the chat. We are coming up on the 7 o'clock hour, and I know we want to honor everyone's time, but feel free to write that question in the chat so that we can ask it. And if you don't, I got 4 or 5 of them ready to go right now. So just definitely stay connected, share this podcast, follow the talent, because I can tell you right now, shout out to Chastity Washington, Sigma Gamma Rho, Kappa Alpha Psi in the building. It's an Indiana love thing, but she's a phenomenal comedian. And to go from comedy into something as serious as being a champion and an advocate for mental health, Chastity, I got to ask you, how did you hit the switch?
Because it's really real life. It's not even though I'm, I work in the field and in the arts, and I'm a comedian and actress and writer and dancer. It's real life for me. The comedy is real life, and the words spoken our real life was, a real time period in my life, you know. Um, yeah. So for me, it was about getting it out, you know. I had to, and and I'm a faith person, and God sent Brenda Wesley in 2009 and 2009 into 2010, and I just finished another play, the Mother's Play with Katina Jordan with the Milwaukee Multicultural Theater, and Brenda saw that play there, and then approached me about and told me about what she was doing. And that was right when I was coming out of that space, or still at the very end of that space myself. So the words, my words were real experience, and then the other words were words that Brenda had constructed, and so it was real, you know. As uncomfortable as that may sound, it was real, but it helped me to heal, by God's grace, and those words, it helped me to heal. And over the years, all the words, all of them, from every piece, from depression to anxiety to PTSD, schizophrenia to suicide, each one has healed somebody somewhere in all the places that he sent us. From we've been up in Baraboo, Wisconsin, to the Mother's March 2015, and Lord bless our cast members that are not with us anymore. But it helped heal somebody. It blessed somebody, because it's real. When the art is real, it's for purpose. It's pure. And I was saying that to you earlier, Damar, about your work. When it's pure, that's when it's purpose filled. That's when it affects lives and changes people's hearts and changes people's minds. That's when it's real. Not that all art isn't great art, right? But when it comes from a real place, that means that it connects soul-wise and spirit-wise with other folk, right? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I'll keep the conversation going, and I know we definitely have some folks that have to jump off. If like they do at the Kojic Church, if you would just stay with me for a few fleeting moments, I think we're having a great conversation. And I know we have 1 minute left, but if I receive a note that says we can continue, I will continue. But I will take this question and say, Solomon, well, number one, where are you from, brother? Where were you born?
I was born in Naperville, Illinois.
Okay, so Midwest. So
Go
you
Chicago
are
Sky. Yeah.
okay.
WBHS. Yeah. Okay.
That's what's up, man. Being so close to Wisconsin, we have some interesting statistics here, man. We have the highest incarceration rate in the nation for African American males in 53206. Obviously, the Packers will be seeing you this season. Shout out to you, brother, but the Packers will be seeing you this season. But for us, how do you balance, being an athlete with the shining light on you and still staying true to your calling as a mental health advocate?
The balance isn't always easy. Mental health work is not the easiest work. You have to be vulnerable. You have to put your heart out there, your story, and that can be draining sometimes. But the balance is me working on my mental health. My dad always tells me, mental health is just like anything else, like your physical health. Like it's like you brushing your teeth. If you don't brush your teeth are gonna get yellow, you're gonna decay, all that stuff. It's the same thing with your mental health. You have to work on your mental health every day, just like brushing your teeth, just like going for a walk, just like getting up and working out. So my way of balancing it is having to work on my mental health, like whether I have to take 10 to 15 minutes a day just to be by myself and really think about my thoughts, whether it's me visiting with one of my mental health coaches or a therapist, journaling, meditating, whatever it is. I have to do something to make sure I can rebalance myself and just go through day-to-day life, because this work isn't easy work. It's hard work. We as all of you know, we've been through a lot of things with mental health and mental health illnesses, our family members, and it's a hard world to deal with because not everyone understands it, and there's a huge stigma against it. And that's why we're doing this work, and that's why we're fighting. And we're just trying to get people to understand it and people to have empathy for others and to really really ask a question like, how are you really doing? And for people to understand that it's okay not to be okay. For people to understand, hey, it's okay to get help. So that's kind of how I balance my work between football and the mental health world. But yeah.
I had a very unique opportunity today to meet with some of my developers that built my mental health app. And as we were just talking, we shared that being a human is the easiest way to connect with someone living with a mental illness. I got a call. I just got married. Shout out to Miss Kane. I know you somewhere watching. I got married last Saturday, and I was on my honeymoon. Thank you so much. I finally took a week off, and I got a call from someone saying, "Hey, my brother's in trouble. Can you help?" I'm like, "Absolutely. I'm sorry. I know you're on your hip. No, you said somebody's in trouble, and can we help?" And so I had the opportunity to actually talk to that gentleman today. And when I tell you, I found so much joy in talking to him about previous dating experiences before I found my wife. The trauma that he experienced, it wasn't that, he saw somebody severely get injured. He literally, his heart was hurting from not being able to connect with his partner. And when we normalize conversations around mental health, when we talk about anxiety, depression, or even now, I'll talk to my son and I say, "Son, how's your heart feeling today?" It's a different narrative when we have the conversation and say, "How are you really feeling?" I read in the comments, someone mentioned today that it's so important to just talk about how are you feeling. And as men, shout out to the Queen, Miss Chastity over here, shout out to Queen Brenda Wesley, but the brothers on this call, would you agree that a lot of times we're told to suck it up? And I know you guys can see the head nods going on. A lot of times culturally, we are trained to hold it in. Don't be soft, I would like to encourage every single person watching this today to connect with a mental health resource, to connect with mental health professionals, to connect with a faith-based community, and to ultimately be able to take your mental health as a top priority, something that can never be taken away from you, something that you never have to apologize for, something that can actually propel your life. And a lot of times when I'm speaking to people about mental health, I just ask them, in your own opinion, and this will be the last question tonight unless we receive otherwise details, what is mental illness? And how can we go from mental illness to mental health healing? That was a good one. Y'all over there thinking like, man.
I guess one thing I'll just throw it in, and the gentleman will take it. I know there's a line at the front of the play where Brenda says in the narration that it's brain disorders, just like the body can be affected by different ailments, illnesses, diseases. It is the same with the brain, and I think people often don't look at it that way. And different diagnoses are different issues with the brain, whether it's a chemical imbalance, whether it's a trauma where it's stuck in the brain, it stayed there and wasn't released, or however, it's just different issues with the function of the brain.
Absolutely. Anyone else? And I do have the definition written out, but that doesn't mean that's the only interpretation.
No, I thought that was almost, I think that was a perfect description, to be honest. Because people understand that it's mental health illnesses, whatever you go through, they think it's something that you can get over, or you can rub dirt on it and just keep walking, or it's something you choose to do. No, it's just like Tassie said, there's a chemical imbalance in the brain. There's trauma stuck in your brain. Your brain is a muscle like anything else. It has memory. It gets trauma. So it needs to flow with all the serotonin and dopamine, everything going on. So, people need to understand that it's a disease just like anything else, just like cancer, just like diabetes. Mental health needs to be treated as such.
Absolutely. Absolutely. These are definitely great expressions. When I first looked up the question myself, what I found was mental illness is a condition that disrupts a person's thoughts, feelings, social skills, in daily living. So the next time somebody tells you, "Man, I didn't wake up on the right side of the bed this morning," or "I'm just not feeling like myself today," or "I find myself for this funk," don't take it lightly. Take a moment. Take a moment to engage and to interact and to be present with them, because this is a sign that we need to be more aware of. There's over 1.9 million families here in Wisconsin that are living with mental illnesses, and so many people that are not diagnosed. It is statistically shown through the Department of Health and Human Services that 1 in 4 people live with a form of mental illness like depression, and 1 in 17 live with a more severe mental illness like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia. Now, we have come to our time for tonight, and I would like to thank you all specifically for being on this live stream broadcast, for lending your time, for lending your talents. You guys are actual superheroes. And I know some people love DC, some people love Marvel. Today, I'm loving y'all. Thank you so much for coming out. And on the behalf of Rogers and Safe and Sound, Wise, Miracle, and Mirror, I just want to say thank you so much for taking this time out. Feel free, again, to the viewing audience to share this, to comment, to like, to laugh, to cry, and most importantly, be an advocate. Thank you guys so much for coming out this evening. Have a good one.